Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Bitcoin Trade here. Um, let's go to, it's been a while. I've been extremely busy with other things, but still trading. And so let's go on to, one of the first things I want to talk about, I guess, is right here. Okay, so we had a comment, and it was from Bitcoin price review, and his question is, did you earn money or did you lose money when you trade Bitcoin? And so I guess I'll give a long answer to this. I did lose money. If you've seen my previous episodes from the beginning, I lost money. I was scammed when I first started trading Bitcoin, and I'm learning on the difference between real money, fake money, stored value devices, and difference between all these other types of so-called money out there. Most of them are fake. Most of them aren't even real. They're not even money. They're just tokens. In reality, they're nothing. They're pretty much worthless. And so in that sense, I did lose money. Also, I was trading on Mt. Gox. If you've seen my previous episode, you'll know that Mt. Gox is now collapsed, is no more, and so I lost money there. And I didn't lose a couple $100. I lost a few thousand. But overall, I have made money. Overall, I guess you can say that. I've lost some. I pay in expenses and all this other stuff. So did I really make money? I don't know yet. I'm still trying to figure out if I even did make money. A lot of things have happened, and things are still happening. So to answer your question, yes, I do generate money, or another way of saying it is I create money, if you want to say that. I create Bitcoins, is another way of saying it. How can I say this? I harvest, I earn, I generate. Those are terms I can use to say that I've made money. When I trade Bitcoin, yes I do. But unless you're well versed in what money is and how it's handled and treated and the legal aspects of money, for people who want to get into Bitcoin trading, other than just trading on the exchanges, I mean, you want to trade in real life, most likely you'll not make any money at the beginning. It'll be a learning process. As you start learning, and if you just watch my videos from start to beginning, you'll kind of see how I learned. And it's interesting how I learned. I mean, I mentioned the creator a lot. I talk about a lot of stuff, a lot of crazy things. And overall, do I make or lose money? After a while, I guess you could say I do make money. Otherwise, I wouldn't continue to trade Bitcoin. But after you get into it so much, you just realize it's an illusion. And in some ways, we've all been fooled. We've all been lied to. And so there really is no money to be made. There really isn't. This whole idea of what money is and what value is, there really is nothing there. It's all in your head. It's all in your in your mind. I mean, people want to keep track of it by uh, by a negative number and a positive number, but in the end, um, I ask myself this, and you should ask yourself: is what's it for, right? What are you gonna do with this money? I mean, it just collects in your bank account or in your safe. Like, what do you do with it? You just buy it? Do you go out and make it rain? Uh, what's the deal? And for me, it's become more. It's become something greater than what I first thought I would be doing with it, or thinking what I would do with, when I got into this. And it's become a great deal. It's become greater than what it is, beyond anything that I could ever have comprehended. And it's become very compelling in my life. So it's more than just money. You know, a lot of people may think I'm fighting over money. I'm not really. It's not the money that I'm fighting over. It's what I'm really fighting over is what I can do with that money. And there's a couple things I want to talk about. But do I earn money? Yes, I do. And do I lose money? Yes, I do. I earn and I lose. It's a risk. It's a risk that I take, and ideally you want to earn more than you lose. But every time you put it out there, there is a risk of losing. But overall, I've gained. If that's your question, and hopefully that answered it. And so I want to get to some other things here real quick. And okay, let's go back to the price chart here. I don't know if anyone's heard. There's been several hacks. Another Bitcoin exchange losing Bitcoins. Just so many things going on. I'm not really concerned about that. Apparently, this price right here going down, that's when one of the exchanges got hacked off their cold wallet somehow. A lot of other things have happened, Ponzi schemes and all that, but there's some really good news in this overall pricing right here. I'll get back to the chart later. Another thing I want to talk about is, well, several things, but let's talk about this. The Observer, someone emailed this to me. Of course, some of you have already probably know about this, but I'll talk about it because I mentioned in my previous episodes. I'm sure as long as there's money or something of value, there'll always be people or entities or forces out there. And I say entities because I've mentioned so many times that there is some forces out there that do not want you to own or have Bitcoins. And Bitcoins for me is something more than just money. And I'll get back to that later. But I want to talk about this because I've mentioned this, where you'll be deceived, you will be led astray, and I've also mentioned that you may even be killed for your Bitcoins. And I've kind of, if you've seen my previous episodes, I've mentioned why you would be deceived, led astray, and even killed for your Bitcoins. And it's already happening. It's already starting. It's probably already happened at some point. Something like this is probably going around. And like I said, there are forces and entities out there that do not want you to ever have a Bitcoin. Ever. And if you do, they will take it from you. And there's less of it in the world. There's less of it for other people to have. There's less of it for other people to experience. So let's go scroll down here, and apparently this is the gentleman here uh, a firefighter who was mugged by two people and stabbed. I don't know how serious it is, but if you read the story and you scroll down, apparently there's other things here as well, where another person who was trading Bitcoin was robbed at gunpoint. Apparently in New York. I guess something like this would happen in New York. Not that it could happen anywhere else, but um, you know, it's just crazy out there. I know out here where I live in Texas, and you definitely have a right to defend yourself, and you also have the right to recover your property by stopping the perpetrator. And how you stop that perpetrator in Texas is up to you how you want to stop them. Some people, I would say most people, would choose to pull out their guns and start shooting at the perpetrator leaving the scene of the crime to recover their property. But in New York, I think they have a different law over there, different legal system, where that may not be prohibited, or that is prohibited or not allowed. But I think it's going to become a time where people who own Bitcoins will have to now arm. Now, my previous episodes, I mentioned arming yourself. Now I was talking about my left arm, my right arm. Well, this time I'm actually talking about arm yourself, like with a gun, with a knife. I mean something, because the forces and entities out there are starting to come out. They're starting to come out because things are getting real. Bitcoins are becoming more real and more real. They are coming into this world. They're taking hold and possession into this world. And these forces and these entities out there, they know it. And they're starting to come out as well. They're going to prevent you from ever experiencing what it is to own a Bitcoin. And my advice is really to arm yourself. I wouldn't rely on the police to prevent any of this, because they're only going to come after the fact. Only you can defend yourself in this matter. So for those of you out there, I guess I'm trying to warn all of you, and I have been warning all of you, that there's forces and entities out there that are bent on your destruction, on making sure that you are never free. You remain a captive. You remain a slave. That's just my opinion, anyways, just read the story and scroll down. I mean, you'll see this is going to be more and more common. A couple reasons, I mean, they'll take your cash, and they won't even give you any cash if you're trading cash in person, and they'll take your Bitcoins, because once you send it, I mean, they've got it. You can probably watch them spend your money or send your money all around, or your Bitcoins all around. But I would say the time to bear arms now has come, and for those who don't believe in the right to bear arms, go ahead. I mean, I'm not saying everyone has to start bearing arms. For those of you who think that you don't need to bear arms, by all means, just go out there in the world. And with your wit and your insight, that's all you need to defend yourself. By all means, there's nothing wrong with that. I use my insight, my wisdom, and my wit to get me out of situations. But when some things require you to physically defend yourself, it's good to know you have that option, that you bear arms. So that's my message for this article, is start bearing arms. And I mean more than your left arm and your right arm. I'm talking about go get yourself a gun. That's my message for this story. So there's that. And then I'll go back to this chart now. And the other thing I want to talk about was, before I get to the chart analysis, was there was a documentary done on Bitcoin, which I got to watch for free. Didn't have to pay cable or anything. I saw it on YouTube. Morgan Spurlock? Better known, very famously known for his documentary on Supersize It. That's how I first heard about him. And one of my early inspirations of starting my own documentary, my self-documentary, in this way. Well, I did get it. I read about it. I heard about it. I did get a chance to watch it, and I enjoyed it. It was a little bit back when I think Bitcoin was about $600. So a few months ago, at least, probably almost 6 months ago, maybe. I would say about 6 months ago. That sounds right. Anyways, I did see it, and it was a good way to, for someone who doesn't know anything about Bitcoin, to get an understanding of it. For someone who's looking to buy a cup of coffee, I think that's a great documentary. But my feelings on it, or my opinion from my experience in trading Bitcoins and getting involved in Bitcoins, is, if you really want to know what you can do with a Bitcoin other than buy a cup of coffee, is, I guess for mainstream people, that's all you would care about. Is, can you buy a cup of coffee with it? Yes, you can. You can buy a cup of coffee, and if you've seen the documentary, you can also buy illegal goods and services. Kind of what it's more notorious for known, but some of the things that you really can do with it that are even more, I guess depends on where you stand. It's either that scary or that amazing. Depends where you stand, okay? But here's some of the things that you could do with Bitcoin that maybe you haven't really thought of. And I've mentioned in my previous episodes about, paying informants and spies and all that, but I'm going to go into something even more crazier than that. And this is another, I guess, a part of the crazy episode. You can literally, and I think I mentioned it before, you can actually overthrow a government or a ruling regime, party, state, whatever you want to call it, without ever even, you know, now I usually like to say this, is without shooting one bullet, without killing one person, without firing a missile, um, that kind of stuff. You can actually uh, take over a whole country. And what else can you do with Bitcoin? Um, I mean, you can do. It goes. The spectrum is pretty wide. I mean, you can free a nation of a ruthless dictator, or you can enslave a nation with a ruthless dictator. I mean, the things you can do with Bitcoin, it's so out there. It's crazy as you want to get. Whatever you want to do. You could literally fund an organization to either implement an objective, um, psychological operations in another country or within this country or within an area. Um, if you want to really get dark, you can. I mean, there's other more darker things you can do. You can set up terrorist cells, sleeper cells. Um, I mean, there's a lot of things you can do. You can fund operations that, and it's either openly or covertly, um, propaganda. I mean, you name it. You can do things, and I wouldn't say you can do it in secret, but you can do it with the touch of a button. And I mean, you can elect a president, you can elect a senator, a representative, whatever. You can pretty much do a lot of things with Bitcoin, and you can kind of, when you start seeing things the way I start seeing things, I mean, it can be very liberating. At the same time, it can be very scary. And so when I watched the documentary, I think it was on CNN, The Inside Man with Morgan Spurlock. What can you do with a Bitcoin? Um, you can do more than just buy a cup of coffee. Now, I think the average person won't be thinking this way. I think the average person will just buy a cup of coffee, but that average person can do whatever I just mentioned, all those things that I just mentioned. The average person can do all those things that I just talked about with Bitcoin. The average person can set up an enterprise all over the world. The average person can now transact all over the world. The average person can now, just do a lot of things. And what is Bitcoin? Well, for me, it's more than just money. It's my ticket. It's my ticket in. That's what Bitcoin means to me. It's my pass into the new world. My ticket into the new world. That's what it really is to me. And so you ask yourself, like, would I kill someone for a Bitcoin? I don't know. I wouldn't really kill anyone because I know how to get one. I wouldn't kill anybody trying to get a Bitcoin. but I definitely would kill someone who was trying to take my Bitcoin, because what does Bitcoin mean to me? It means a lot. It means a lot. Um, it means your freedom out of slavery. I mean, literally, your freedom out of slavery. Your ticket into the new world, free from oppression. So that's my opinion on what it is, what it means to me. I did enjoy the documentary. It was enjoyable to watch. 45 minutes. It's not bad. When you really start. For those who don't know anything about Bitcoin, I think 45 minutes would suffice. For those who are heavy into it, it was very short. So, anyways, how does that translate for mainstream? I don't know. I can't really say anything about mainstream. I truly believe for a lot of mainstream average people who don't know what Bitcoin is or have any idea what it is, it's just a way to buy a cup of coffee, and that's all it'll be to them. Let me just go back to this right here. This goes back to this question. Do you earn money, or did you lose money when you trade Bitcoin? Now, when I first started my episode, I talked about how a lot of people are going to be trading Bitcoin on exchanges. They're going to buy and they're going to sell, and that's about the extent of what most people are going to do. And now, if you want to stop there, you can. But if you really want to go deeper into the rabbit hole, you're going to learn how to trade peer-to-peer. And that's a whole different world of trading. And in conjunction with trading in the exchange, in conjunction with trading with a miner or a mining pool, in conjunction with trading with a buyer, and then trading with sellers. Okay, so I get my Bitcoins typically from miners, but I don't only get my Bitcoins from miners. I get my Bitcoins from other people who want to sell me their Bitcoins as well. And then I also get my Bitcoins through trading on the exchange. I also get my Bitcoins from exchanges as well. And so when you start adding a lot of different dynamics to it, there's other ways you can get Bitcoin. Is you're trading goods and services. And I've talked about this in my episode. There's so many ways you can get Bitcoins. And you can set up companies that offer goods and services, and then merchant process for yourself. So as your different companies are offering goods and services to collect Bitcoins, then you can merchant process. In other words, you can have another company, which is I wouldn't say your merchant processing company, but your investment company, to buy those Bitcoins from your other company that offer goods and services for Bitcoins. And then that's another way to acquire Bitcoins, and then go out there and put them back on the market to have them collected again through whatever services you offer. That's another trade. And then you can go on top of that and trade your company for Bitcoins or money, or another company. I mean, you could really start trading. You could start compounding your trades on top of trades on top of trades. It's almost like compounding interest. You can compound your trades. You can make a trade off of another trade off another trade, and it gets really crazy. It can get very confusing at times too. Um, but from what I've experienced, I mean, I've just barely hit the tip of the iceberg, really. I'm starting to get into more advanced. I mean, I'm not talking about like butterfly trades and head and shoulders kind of shit and 1, 2, 3 formations or whatever, or first wave, second wave. I'm talking about uh, advanced trading. Like, I'm going to be trading entities. I'm going to be trading companies for Bitcoins. I'm going to be trading homes for Bitcoin. I'm going to be trading property for Bitcoin. I'll be trading services for Bitcoin, and then trading those Bitcoins for another service and for another company. I mean, I'm talking about compound trading, and it's going to get crazy. And all the while, merchant process for yourself. So, and trade on the exchanges and do all sorts of weird stuff. I mean, the way I trade, it's crazy. It's crazy. That's all I can say. And when you get to that point, um, like I said, at some point you'll just realize money is just an illusion. I would even say Bitcoins are an illusion to a certain degree. The world around you is an illusion, and then either you see through it, or you get disillusioned, and then the world falls apart, and then you have to rebuild the world. Because if you go in the path of being disillusioned by everything, you literally have to rebuild the world. But the nice thing about that is you can rebuild the world the way you see fit. And that's what's so powerful, and that's what's so empowering. So whether you can see through it, or whether you become disillusioned and it falls apart and you have to rebuild it, I mentioned a lot about the new world and building the new world. Well, what is it that you think I'm talking about? I'm literally talking about the world around you just collapses and falls apart because you realize it's all fake. And then, once you realize it's fake, I mean, and I mentioned a lot of times of virtual reality, where you co-create with the creator, and then you make it real, and you are literally rebuilding the world, or you're better yet, you could be even creating a new world as you start co-creating with the creator. And once you realize, when you co-create with the creator, you become a part of the creator, then you realize you are the creator, because you're a part of the creator. I don't know if that makes any sense. Some of you may think this is all bullshit, and this is nonsense. I don't know what to say. It's a documentary of what I'm experiencing, and you're seeing everything through my eyes right now. And it's quite an experience, I know you're seeing everything through my eyes from seeing through your eyes, and you may not get the same experience. But for those of you who know what I'm talking about, for those of you who, there's somebody out there experiencing this, just like I am. It's not just me. There's other people out there. There's got to be. I know there are. I'm reaching out to you guys, or you people. Anyways, The documentary was good. I did enjoy it. I hopefully it'll give more exposure to others out there to try to use Bitcoin and to see what it's like, because it's changed my life. And once you go through that rabbit hole, once you go through that mirror, and you break through onto the other side, you know, you've left your old self, and your new self is, you know, you just started on this new journey, and things will never ever be the same. Never be the same. You can never go back. And like I said, I've mentioned many times, why would you go back? Why would you go back? Knowing what you know now, why would you ever want to go back? So, anyways, let's get on to a quick chart analysis, because I'm sure that's what all of you are here for. So, as my previous videos, I mentioned the 250 being really critical, and it's broken up, come back down, it's broken up again above the 250, came back down. And what's really different about this time is, if you look at the two averages now, you'll see that the price action is no longer around or below this, which I believe is a 25 period average, and this is Bitfin, and that's the current price, and it's on a 12-hour period. So on a 12-hour period, the price action is now bouncing on top of the 25 period instead of below. So if you've been looking all this time, it's been really, that 25 period average has been really a barrier against any price movement going up. And now that it's broken up here, it's come back down, it's played around at below the 25 period average, and then it's broken up above the 250, it's come back down, but there's a major differences now that it's hitting, or the price action is now above this 25 period average, and if you look, it's also playing around above this 10 period average. So these are really good indications for me. These are really good solid signs for me. I have been holding my positions. I've literally have been trading and keeping my gains in Bitcoin. I've been holding those positions. Since those are all gains, there's no risk for me. And because there's no risk for me, I mean, I'm just gonna ride this thing out. Now that there's no risk for me, I mean, I'm willing to take on all my gains in just Bitcoins now, because the price is still low enough where you're making a gain in Bitcoin is way easier than making a gain in any fiat currency. And as far as I'm concerned, if you're trading peer-to-peer, or let's say on local Bitcoins or anything, and you no longer have to worry about the declining price, because I believe that the prices will be stable and trending upwards. And so what you're probably going to see now is one of the reasons why you'll probably see a lot of these dips is people who trade peer-to-peer, they've been selling. Either eventually it's been working its whatever they've been selling, whether they bought from a miner and sold to the open market. And when I say open market, I'm talking about in the real world. And you'll see that people have been selling off, and that's because the price is not advancing upwards. And I think a lot of these people who've been trading peer-to-peer, you know, they've been biting off a little bit more than they could chew, then they've been selling it off, and then buying back in when they trade, and then selling it off. Unfortunately, they have more to sell off than they have to actually trade. And so when they're not able to sell what they've purchased out into the open market, they basically sold onto the exchange to preserve their value, I guess you can say. But in reality, there is no safe value. I've mentioned that. Whether you take a position in fiat currency or whether you take a position in bitcoins, both those prices are floating. There is no safe position. They're both floating. What I mentioned, what you could do is take positions on both sides and make gains off of both sides based on what the price is doing and whether you have a buy or sell position, a butterfly trade that I've been mentioning. You can still do that, but considering the signals that I've been seeing, obviously the first signal that I saw was this breaking up and out of this, and then the second signal was this being the lower low, higher low. So the lowest, this is the low, and this is a higher low, higher high than this last high. So there's a lot of things that are going on, and then on top of that, it didn't go below 200. Now I've been mentioning that there's a struggle between 200 and 250, and so another positive signal that the trend is going up, or the prices will be going up, is this break here that broke above 250, although it has come down. But I've noticed that instead of coming down like this and below these two averages, you're seeing it stop at this 25 period average and then going up. Now it's bounced, the prices are bouncing on above these average above these averages now. Excuse me, I had a burp there. And so these are really good positive signals for me. And overall sentiment, I think, is positive. I don't think you're going to see the drastic downflows. At least I'm not seeing it in any near future. And so as long as the prices stay above these two averages, you're looking at a challenge to this 250, which shouldn't be too hard since it's really close to 250, and any upward movement from there, you'll have a little resistance in breaking through, and on top of that, a better support to stay above 250 now. Question is, where's it going to go? If it can go above this, which is okay, so if it can go above this, which is at 268, that's wonderful. So as soon as it breaks above 268, I think there's a good chance of hitting 300. And if it breaks above 300, then you're looking at this particular high right here being the target. And that target is 315. So if it can hit and go above 300, there's a good chance that it's gonna definitely hit 315. And if it breaks above that, look for 350. And so these are breakout points that I'm giving you. If you look back, if you pull back further, 350 makes sense, because if you go to 350, let me see where 350 is. 350 is right around here, where this broke out. And so once it hits 350, if it breaks above that, anything that, if it breaks above it and comes back out, if it breaks above and then pulls back down from that, that's still a pretty good sign. The fact that it broke above it is showing me that there's bullish sentiment to break above it. The pullback I'm expecting, because people are going to be shorting at this position or selling in this position up at this price level. But every time it pulls back but doesn't make a lower low than the last low, that's a really good indication as well, so watch out for that. And if it doesn't make a lower low, that means the momentum is still an upward momentum. And so look for those signals. I'm sorry if this is a long episode, but last thing I want to talk about is, of course, there is still the auction of the seized bitcoins, apparently around March, which is coming pretty soon. How is that going to affect it? Well, here's my opinion, here's my take. I'm not going to bid on those, of course. I don't have any intention of doing any of that, but my opinion on it is that it's not going to go for a lower price, because I think there's going to be a lot more bidders, because there's obviously a good signal that we've reached the lowest price right here. And so whatever the price is going to be at this point and beyond, up into the auction, I think that's the price that people are going to be willing to pay, or even higher, because I think the bidders are going to realize that we've already hit, or we're reaching the bottom of this long downtrend, and the uptrend is starting to come up. And so this is probably one of the opportunities where they're going to get it at the lowest price out of this auction. That's just my opinion based on the chart analysis. And so there may be a bid higher than the current price, because the last price was about, I would say, about 350. When did the last auction occur? Maybe 350 to 400. That's probably the price where the last bidders from the last auction paid around that price. Just based on the chart analysis that I saw. I don't know what the price they paid, but you got to think about that's the range. Now they're below that range. They're either going to pay that market price or higher than that. And so I think this particular auction period, there will be a premium paid. And I think there's going to be more people interested, because they're going to get a whole lot of Bitcoins for a really good price. They're getting a bargain. And if they're going to try to low bid this, or they think they're going to win this bid with a low price, they're probably going to be not the winning bidder. And so they're going to have to pay. I think that people are going to be paying a little bit more premium for this, because it's a really good bargain, because the momentum is shifting upwards. And so that's, they get, I think there's going to be some bidders who are going to take account in for that, because they may not win the bid with a low price. I think someone's going to go in there and they're going to see that the trend is starting to move up, and paying a little bit more premium so they can get those Bitcoins is going to be more important than trying to lowball. That's just my opinion. I'm not going to bid on them, so it doesn't really matter to me, because I got the Bitcoins that I want. I'm able to actually get Bitcoins as well, and I know how to trade Bitcoins, and I already have plans on what to do with these Bitcoins. So for people who know how to trade Bitcoins, this auction is not a big deal. They would have never participated in that auction in the first place, in my opinion. Anyways, well, sorry for the long episode. It's been a while since I did a video, so I guess I'm just making up for lost time. Anyways, I'll conclude this episode. Feel free to like, dislike, leave a comment, even do a video response. Until next time, stay tuned. Bye.